And I have Casey Christopher with us, Chief Empowerment Officer of Quontic Bank. Casey, how are you doing today?
You know what? I am doing great. 2020 is wrapping up. It's been quite a year, and I am honored. I am like crazy surprised that you've invited me to do this. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you, LinkedIn World, for tuning in. I don't even know what to say. I'm very humbled.
Well, we're grateful to have you. You know, they've given me this responsibility to go out and find these thought-provoking leaders. And so, I saw this Chief Empowerment Officer. You could look at that somewhat as the CEO, but I know we have to tread lightly. What does the Chief Empowerment Officer do? What does your day look like?
Sure. So I think if I had a typical day, that would be atypical. So I started the role in October, so it's been a really short time. I actually joined the bank April 1st in the middle of the pandemic. And for those of you that don't know, Quontic is our branch is in Astoria, Queens, which is one of the most hard-hit areas for COVID, certainly in March and throughout the spring. And then our headquarters is at One Rockefeller Center. So when I started in April, I actually had, it was a different role. I was in specialty banking, which you're going to say like, well, Chief Empowerment, what's that? What's specialty banking too? So specialty banking was anything that didn't really fall under consumer, mortgage, or any commercial. We're big mortgage originator, residential originator. So I started in that, and what ended up happening was it was all hands on deck. Like any bankers or anyone in any industry understands, you were wearing a lot of hats to begin with, and then way more hats when the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. So I went through essentially what most people go through in like the beginning of their career. Like they needed me in customer service answering the phones. They needed me on a branch level answering phones. We reached out to mortgage and CD customers throughout the pandemic too. So I was reaching out to them. So I got a real great crash course in consumer banking, retail banking, because I come from correspondent banking. And when the fall came, we realized that we were going to go to a remote workforce. So while we were going to bring some folks back to our branch in Astoria, and we have another office in Flushing and our headquarters in New York City, we also had pivoted and started hiring folks out of our geographic footprint. So as of today, we've hired 129 new employees, brand new employees since the pandemic started. Yeah, which is super unique. We're very proud of. And on top of that, Jeff, those folks are in 25 brand new states to Quontic. So if we only had employees in, let's say, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut in the past, we've added 25 additional states: California, Kentucky, Alabama, quite a few in Florida too. I think everybody left New York for Florida. And then we got to pick some folks up down there. So with all that being said, we really had a bigger need for someone within the organization that really focused on empowering not only our customers, but empowering our employees too. So our mission statement is to break the system for financial empowerment. So empowerment has always been a part of our DNA. So as we began to figure out what was needed, Chief Empowerment Officer actually came up, and I talk in a podcast about how when the other leaders and executives in my organization approached me with this, I was like, I don't know, am I really the right person? They're like, we're making this role for you. Yes, you're the right person to do this.
Yes.
So some of the things I do, I guess, on a typical day that guides my journey throughout the day. There's basically 5 kind of pillars that I work with. The first is external, internal communications. So we do a lot of external communications for our consumers and for the industry. And then we feel like you cannot over communicate too much. So we do a lot of internal communications and messaging as well. Talent acquisition and retention of employees. That coincides into employee engagement and basically reframing our mindset. I do a lot on the culture. We have Culture Day. So all of our new employees on Thursdays go through Culture Day. And then we also try to weave our culture, the fabric of it, through things we do on a daily basis. And then lastly is we're a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution, which is really exciting. We're mission driven. So I make sure that we stay compliant with all of our CDFI guidelines as well. So that's a little bit more like the business of it, but other than culture.
That's good. I feel like I have a much broader and better understanding of Chief Empowerment Officer. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, I also, in preparing for this, I got to read your love letter to your Quontic Bank employees.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that, there are organizations that are out there that say we put our employees first. But really, what I've seen and what I've read, and I guess what we're experiencing, is you guys put your money where your mouth is. And I think that that's phenomenal in today's age.
Something that we talk about a lot internally is what are we doing? What are we saying? But what are we doing? So for our customers, I mentioned early reaching out to customers that had mortgages and CDs during the early days of the pandemic. That was like March and April. So we reached out to a lot of our residential mortgage customers and just said to them, hey, we understand what's happening. We've got a couple opportunities for you if you're having some financial difficulties. Let's be proactive. Let's be transparent. Yeah. Let us reach out to you and let you know we're all going through a tough time and we're here for you. And because a lot of our residential customers were too in the Queens, greater New York City area, we knew that we were really scared in March and April. We also reached out to our CD customers and let them know we understand cash flow is really important right now. And if you need to come out of your CD, we're going to make it penalty free. And we actually, we had a lot of people that were really thankful about that. We didn't have as many cash out as we thought, but what we did have on a few, which is great to know that they didn't need to do that, but we actually had quite a few that did that and then came back in and opened larger CDs or a couple of CDs because they were so thankful about how we treated them. So again, with coming down to empowerment and doing the right thing and being inclusive for our customers, it paid back in spades. Also, with our employees, you said we put our money where our mouth is, and what are we doing? Something that I realized that we didn't have when I started, and I was really passionate about because I had brought about change to this at the bank I was at formerly, was paid parental leave. So when I started here at Quontic, we didn't have paid maternity leave. It was just the standard FMLA, which I just don't think works nowadays. I mean, we really need to empower our employees and give them the benefits that they need both at work and at home and the opportunities. And I was able to lobby to our executive leadership to get not only paid maternity, but paid paternity. So we have full paid parental leave now, which is really exciting for our employees and also recruiting. And I think it's when I talk at Culture Day, I ask them, hey, how many of you inquired about our benefits? Were they important to you? Did you notice those? And I had one recently say, I won't be utilizing your paid parental leave, but to know that I work for a company that values parents really made me sign on.
Yeah. I'm always surprised, and it shows up in different places in my life, but I'm always surprised when I am in a giving mode that what I get in return is 5 to 10 times any value of what I've given, whether it be energy, whether it be resources, whatever it is, being support, that energy coming back to me is substantially different than the energy that I transmitted. Very cool stuff.
Well, I don't know know if you noticed, but 2020's been kind of a crappy year. So.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know. Before we started this, I mentioned I'm an open book. I actually had COVID. I had a mild case, but it's been really rough. And to just do minor things to put that positive energy out there for folks, I think is so rewarding. Just today at the post office, it wasn't pretty at the post office today, let me tell you. And the woman next to me at the end, I just kind of looked at her and said, happy holidays. Just we're all going through a lot, regardless of the post person or ourselves, everyone in line, like give each other we have to all give each other grace and be positive. And it does come back in spades.
It does. It does. So what is the best part of your job these days? I mean, it looks like you've got it pretty well under control. So what's the best part of your job these days?
The best part of my job is learning from other people. We have those in the industry, especially my employees, our customers. We have 4 really unique core values. Say cheese, which is just smile, but putting that positive energy out there. Say cheese. We also have try it on, which I think is really cool and unique to a bank. So basically we say, you don't have to make a spreadsheet about everything you do. Like just go ahead and jump in and try it on, just like you would a t-shirt at a store. We have know the goal, which is really important that everybody has complete clarification on what this project or phone call or Zoom or email is trying to accomplish. So we're not fishing around for that. In all of our Zoom invites, we put what the goal is. And then actually, progress, not perfection, which is our 4th core value. That is one that I struggle with on a daily basis. As a banker, I feel like we've always strived for perfection. You can't wire $1 million-ish. I mean, you got to wire $1 million. So when I was explaining to me that while we have to be accurate, we don't have to be perfect. Now that I struggle with it every day. When I joined, I was like, progress, not perfection. Okay, I'll get to that core value. I have applied that core value throughout my personal and professional life. And it certainly has made a huge difference in just saying, hey, every day you just need to wake up and move the ball forward. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to say yes to there's not that many events anymore, but every Zoom meeting or Zoom friend meetup, just move the ball forward and do your best. And that's probably learning that and think little gems like that are the best part of my job.
That's fantastic. I like that because we're on this journey, right? It's not like a sprint. It's not like it's going to be over tomorrow. I got to get up and put my clothes on, put my shoes on, and get ready for work again tomorrow. So it's this journey. I like that.
Day and age, that's all we can ask for. I don't have children doing school from home, but my friends and family and neighbors that do, it's like, all right, let's just get through it. One more day and we can do that.
Yes, exactly. That's fantastic. So I love the fact that, and you mentioned this, but I love the fact that Quontic Bank is, as a CDFI, challenging the norm and looking at traditions that have been standing for such a long time. Where does that passion and energy and strategy come from? Because I think that's critically important.
So that comes from our chief executive officer, founder, chairman is Steve Schnall. He's really charismatic, really great guy. That he was in the residential mortgage business before in New York City, and probably about 11 years ago, started understanding how a CDFI could impact his community in New York City, and really got to understand that. And on a whim, maybe not a whim, don't quote me, but he bought a bank out in Long Island and changed it to a CDFI, and is really passionate about banking the underbanked and to give folks that have don't quite fit in the qualified mortgage box after Dodd-Frank, the opportunity for homeownership. So we cater to gig economy, so Uber drivers, things like that, that don't have a standard W-2. We also cater to immigrants, which might live in multi-generational housing. Yeah, so just the underbanked or the folks that don't quite fit in the box.
That's fantastic. We try to, as turnkey lenders, try to get financial institutions, both traditional and non-traditional, to think outside the box from a digital transformation perspective, leveraging technology that's all about customer experience in loan origination and loan management. And we're having a lot of fun doing so.
That's awesome.
So you have remote employees around the U.S. Does that mean that I can call whatever time zone I'm in and I have the best experience possible?
That is a good question. Our customer service reps, as of right now, are just on Eastern time zone, but we do have a branch call center that goes to, I think, to Pacific time. But great question. I mean, I need to look into that.
Very good, very good. So as you near the end of 2020, and we're all going to be like, whew, I'm glad that's gone. And I think you've shared some important lessons about what you've learned. More it's about, making small steps and not perfection, but going through that journey. Is there anything else you've learned this year that you would share with us today?
Sure. I think this year, I've constantly asked for feedback, and I've also asked for help more this year. I think in the past, there was a little bit of pride of ownership of some sort in what I was doing my job, and tough, and getting on airplanes and flying all around the place. But I think this year has forced me to slow down, prioritize, and to just ask those around me what they need, and also tell folks what I need from them, which has been really empowering.
There you go. I like that. Empowering yet again. Yeah, I've had, some bumpy roads this year myself, and I found that if I go into those conversations, or if I go into those negotiations from a hard stance, a hard line, that the outcome is one way or another. It's black and white, and usually those are not good either direction. What I found, if I can approach that from an attitude of seeking help or advice, or coming from a place of service, that the outcome is much greater for myself, all parties involved.
And that vulnerability that you add, that you just bring to the table, that says, listen, I don't know the answer to this question. I'm not sure that I have the skills, or maybe even the energy right now to figure out that answer. Does anybody here, can anyone help me? And I think that vulnerability, especially as a leader, makes you very real, makes you very authentic and genuine, that you're not holding that back like you might have in the past. And that, I think, has fostered really strong relationships within organizations.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So as a thought leader in the financial sector, in the financial services sector, as the empowerment officer, like, I think they broke the mold, right? What advice would you give professionals wanting to get into banking, technology, customer service, or employee satisfaction? What advice would you have?
Network. And I know that's not, it doesn't look the same this year, and won't look the same next year that it did when you and I were networking years ago. But the impact that Zoom's had, and LinkedIn, and all of our social media channels, and all of the content that's available through trade associations and great folks like yourself at Turnkey, get out there, reach out to people that you respect, that you are interested in, contact them via email, LinkedIn, anything. I don't turn down any LinkedIn coffee date requests on Zoom. So no matter what industry you're in, if something that I said or have done is interesting to you, I would love to meet you. So I think if we can all kind of take that position of just coming from a place of gratitude and service, like you said. I think that not only will we get something out of that, but we will give back more in spades too.
Yeah, I think your calendar just exploded for the near future.
Please reach out to me. I love meeting new people. That would be awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Casey, it's been a pleasure and an honor. We want to do this again. Watching what Quontic Bank has done this year and the awards and the prestige and how you're participating in your community is just, you are challenging those other institutions that may not have that true digital peace of mind yet. But thank you for what you do.
Yes. Google us. We just launched Bitcoin rewards checking this morning, so we could do another one on digital transformation too.
Fantastic. Well, we will have you back. Casey, thank you so much for your time. Stay warm in this cold weather. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Have a good night.